Nimrod, the Tower of Babel had no outside fence around it. There were people living around that, and in that tower was the hanging Persian, or the hanging gardens of Persian that later on. But there was no fence in the wild beasts would attack the people of Babylon. Nimrod came along and he built a fence around Babel and kept the wild animals out. Nimrod then became known as the saviour of the world. They deified him. In other words, they made a god of him, a false god of him. Nimrod's lady was named Semiramis. Nimrod died. The people needed a god. Semiramis then became known as the celestial virgin or the queen of heaven, and they deified her. She became pregnant well outside a 9-month period outside of the death of Nimrod, and gave birth to a son who she named Tammuz. Where's Nimrod mentioned in the Bible?
Genesis 10:8.
What is it? Okay, we'll give a little bit of that. Let's have a look. Genesis 10:8. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. You see, he was the hero of the people. He became the saviour of the world. The two Babylons, by Alexander Hislop, speaks of Nimrod. Let's see if I can find this section.
So Cush is the Siva.
If you go back a little bit, you'll find out who Cush was. It was the sons of Noah, Ham, Shem and Japheth, and they begat sons.
When you speak of begat, does that mean
Gave.
gave?
Or he spawned, or his offspring. On page 71 and 72 of the two Babylons, we read a little bit about his character. See, in this book it tells us that on page 100. I can't find it straight up. It says that the pagans were in the practice of worshipping the same god under different names. What they did is deified Nimrod. He died. They deified Semiramis, who gave birth to Tammuz, and Semiramis then declared that Tammuz was the reincarnation of Nimrod. So Tammuz and Nimrod became the same entity in them as a god. They are also in the habit of altering. They could change the sex. You know, Tammuz could become a woman and change the name to Isis, if they wanted to the god Zeus, Yazus, and etc. But the pagan Messiah brought into the church in the Dark Ages was known as Bacchus and Dionysus. This is page 121. Now, Nimrod, or Tammuz, became the pagan Messiah, the saviour of the world. I'm just looking for this section here that talks about it. No, I can't find it straight away. I'm wasting a bit of tape on it. Page 122 says the pagans worship the same god under different names. It talks how the Trinity came into existence in this book also. It's page 70 and 71 is what I was looking for, Dionysus. The son that's worshipped in his mother's arms, that's Tammuz, being in his mother's arms, in Semiramis' arms, was looked upon as invested with all the attributes and called by almost all the names of the promised Messiah. And it says here, as Christ in the Hebrew of the Old Testament was called Adonai, the Lord, so Tammuz was called Adon or Adonis. Under the name of Mithra, he was worshipped as the mediator. As mediator, the head of the covenant of grace, he was styled Baal-berith, the Lord of the covenant. In his character, he is represented in Persian monuments as seated in the rainbow, the well-known symbol of the covenant. In India, under the name of Vishnu, the preserver or saviour of men. Though a god, he was worshipped as the great victim man who before the worlds were, because there was nothing else to offer, offered himself as a sacrifice. Now this, page 72, just skipping a bit. Dionysus signifies the sin bearer. You see, they're counterfeiting the real Messiah who was yet to come, and made out that Nimrod was that Messiah. A name entirely appropriated to the character of him whose sufferings were represented as so mysterious and who was looked up to as the great purifier of souls. Now the Babylonian god, known in Greece as the sin bearer, and in India as the victim man among the Buddhists of the East, the original elements of those of whose system are clearly Babylonian, was commonly addressed as the saviour of the world. It has been all along well enough known that the Greeks occasionally worshipped the supreme god under the title of Zeus, the Saviour. But this title was thought to have reference only to deliverance in battle or some such like temporal deliverance. But when it is known that Zeus, the Saviour, was only a title of Dionysus, the sin-bearing Bacchus, his character as the Saviour appears in quite a different light. In Egypt, the Chaldean god was held up as the great object of love and adoration, as the god through whom goddesses and truth were revealed to mankind. And he was regarded as a predestined heir of all things, and on the day of his birth it was believed that a voice was heard to proclaim, "The Lord of all the earth is born." In this character he was styled King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This is when Tammuz was born. So what